This week was about copyright and the laws that apply to copyright. As educators, we use a lot of resources through the internet, through YouTube videos that educate our students through the use of these videos. It's important to be able to know that you can't copyright and when you need to document that this is from someone else. I know that rules have changed since the early 90s. When I remember as a kid that my parents first got a computer, my brother would used to download songs for free. Even though it wasn't legal, he did it anyway because there wasn't a lot of good standing laws in place that prohibit that. Nowadays, you can't get away with that. You get in trouble. I mean, it's just how it is. Anyway, I have all my notes and stuff, so I want to make sure I get the right information. So after reviewing these sites about the whole copyright stuff, I think it's great that copyright's involved. It helps, give the credit to those who actually did the work. I mean, they put in the time and effort, and as educators, it is very important that we acknowledge them in our classroom. And I'm sorry, I'm just making sure I get my information. I have it wrote down. So, like using Google, what interests me about it and what's somewhat surprising is how, it is an invisible web and we can learn a lot of things about it, but sometimes some of the things that you can access isn't legitimate, and it's hard to get any information through like Google or whatever. As we always need to, again, give credit where credit's due, contact the authors, and ask if it's okay, to use their work. It's the copyright is, what surprised me is that article. It says that identify the authors and contact one or more of them. Ask whether they own the copyright or whether the work was work for hire. Ask whether they have conveyed any of their rights, and if so, to whom. I just never knew that that's kind of part of getting information from copyrights. The orphan works part, I never knew that even existed until now. If the article says you can't, if you can't successfully contact them, it's called an orphan work. It says the vast majority of materials in our libraries and archives are in this category. Works for which a copyright owner cannot be found. These works present serious policy challenges to our copyright law, and that they will languish unless a suitable way can be found to allow uses of them that adequately addresses the rights of copyright owners. I never knew there was a specific name for that type of documents. So, like in the past, when I would research for a paper, I didn't realize, the information I was getting were called orphan works because I couldn't find the owner, the writer of the article, and this is part of it. Well, I don't think I've experienced a lot of educators breaking copyright rules that I know of. I think when it comes to like I grew up in the 90s, and I was in high school in the early 2000s. So we didn't have a lot of technology available in my education and in my youth. So we didn't get to watch a lot of videos or YouTube videos because it was still very new. So, I mean, people I know are old school. My mom's a teacher, so she doesn't use a lot of videos in her teaching. She's very traditional. But I think if when teachers, when they're showing videos to students about, our different culture, they don't document where this came from. They didn't get permission. They just put it up there, and they didn't ask for permission to show it. They didn't give that person credit. So, they're breaking copyright laws right there. I did fairly well on that fair use quiz. I think the question that really surprised me was the whole Seinfeld one. It just makes me think of my training class that I'm in. My instructor there, she put Seinfeld on. She didn't even acknowledge where she got it from, or even put the copyright information on it. So she broke copyright laws because she showed it without having permission to do so. Other than that, copyright laws, they're there in place for a reason. Like I said, in the early 90s, we didn't have, it was kind of like the Wild West on the World Web. You didn't have boundaries set up. You didn't have the important documentation that you needed to obtain use of these services. It just wasn't there. Nowadays, you have to follow by these rules because it can be a federal crime if you do not. It's a very serious offense. And as educators, being educated about what we can use, how to obtain these useful resources out there, I think it's important, making sure we read up and be educated about it. Other than that, I hope you all have a good week, and hope you're all staying dry. And again, I have a good week. See you next time.